What's up, Playboy?
Yo, let's get into end of the season awards real quick. This week's fly route, I want us to take the position of some NBA voters because things have kind of changed. LeBron James gets a high ankle sprain. Now he is out for at least a month.
Mm-hmm.
Joel Embiid has that injury that we talked about last week. Now he's out for an extended period of time. That's kind of opened up the MVP race because honestly, those are the top two people were talking about. And now they're going to miss significant time. And what happens in this month? It's like there's not much left in the season.
Yeah, we have a good idea about what teams are good, what teams are not good. We don't really have narratives because typically when the NBA media picks a guy or a couple guys, they build the story for the MVP all year long.
We have the narratives.
And now, because the front runners are out, there's no narrative left for at least a dominant narrative left for any of the contenders for this award.
All right.
So with that being said, I think and I said this a couple weeks ago in the pod, it's Nikola Jokic for me for lots of reasons. So I think the first is team success, which is what these guys all look at. Jokic's team is 26 and 17. They are 5th in the Western Conference. They're doing great. They're expected to be a tough out in the playoffs, not a team that anyone looking to go far wants to see early. They were a tough out last year. But not just that his team is good, he has had dramatic improvement in his counting stats, his points, rebounds, assists this season. I think his points are up from 19 last year to 27 this year. He's averaging 11 assists a game and 8 rebounds, which is freaking phenomenal. When it looks at those numbers, which is almost a triple-double, he has 9 triple-doubles this season, I believe.
Are you shocked that a nigga that tall is missing the triple-double rate by rebounds?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yo, that shit bothers me. Nigga, you is too tall to be missing the season triple-double by rebounds.
If Russ can get 10 a game for the season, I think Jokic should be able to. But even that being said, on triple-doubles, he's only the second big man after Wilt Chamberlain to have 50-plus triple-doubles. Wilt has 78. I think Nikola has now like 51 or 52. So these are just historic numbers. He's missed the triple-double this season 6 times by either 1 rebound or 1 assist. Like, these are historic kind of numbers for this guy. The narrative is starting to be there a little bit. Kind of it's an unsuspecting NBA player. You know, we've all seen I don't know if everyone's seen this, but the picture of him as a kid, the fat little chubby kid. And hey, I was that kid. So, hey, do your thing. It obviously worked out for him. But you wouldn't think, even if you saw this guy now, you'd be like, he's an NBA player. Like, he's tall, but he doesn't look.
Nah, he's too tall.
He's too tall, but the height is the only thing.
He's tall enough that you like, wait, you're not in the NBA? The
yes,
fuck do you
it would
do,
be that.
nigga?
It would be that. But let's say I saw Giannis, and even if I watched the NBA, I'm like, oh, that dude's in the NBA.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If I saw LeBron, I'm like, oh, that dude's in some sports league. I don't know if it's the NBA, but he played for somebody. And then the last thing for me is just kind of narrative. That's the narrative, but also the kind of the odds on it. And right now, Jokic is the highest ranked player in the Vegas odds that's left playing significant portion of the game. Usually the MVP plays 80+% of the games. Right now, Jokic is at plus 110 to win the MVP, which is pretty damn good. LeBron's at plus 450. Dame's at plus 1200. Embiid's still at plus 600, etc. So not only is the narrative there, the numbers are there, the team success, but Vegas also has him as the odds-on favorite to win the MVP. For me, it's a very strong case for Jokic.
The Vegas odds are deceptive in that way because those odds are how they feel like they can make the most money off of people. So this is where I want to tell you, I think the fly route for this is Dame Lillard. And you talk about narrative, and that's why I think it's going to be Dame, right? The narrative is going to be Dame because Dame has kind of been that player that everybody is like, is the truth, but has never really gotten that accolade.
Well, yeah, small school guy, went to Weber, not real well known, plays up in Portland, even now not on a lot of national games.
But I think it's going to start to matter now creeping through the end of the season. Their schedule is pretty easy. They're the 6th seed, and I think they can go on a run now, especially because they finally got CJ back. think about it. They've been playing without CJ and Nurk. They've been playing without 2 starters all season long. And Dame Lillard has been carrying this team on his back. He's probably on his way to his first NBA scoring title this season. It's going to matter because, look, here's the way that I would explain it. Jokic has always had his second, Jamal Murray, all season long, right? Dame has carried the load without the other people around him, kept his team afloat, and can now go on a run after finally having CJ back. That's the thing. Most valuable player is like, when other people went down, how did you perform? Right? Could you carry your team? Are you the engine that can do it on its own? And look, if we're just going to count the raw stats, it's hard to beat Jokic. I agree. But if we're going to count the narrative of depleted team for the second year in a row, puts them on your back, wins a bunch of games, and I think this last set of games without Embiid and Bron will be actually what shapes the MVP, not what has happened before then. So Dame can go on a tear right now and just immediately reshift all of the narrative because we're no longer watching the guys at the top of the thing do amazing things every night. But watching Dame is spectacular, and I think that's what counts. Jokic is great, very sound and fundamental, but Dame is shooting logo threes. It's Dame time. That is narrative. That is narrative. Jokic doesn't have a narrative. He has a very good team that does really well every single year in the playoffs, and we're like, wow, didn't see that coming. And they're like, well, okay. But last year, we're like, no, didn't see that coming at all. But Dame has narrative. He has Dame time.
So I do think Dame is very compelling, very entertaining. I think he will shoot up and get a lot of MVP votes. But I think that it may be too late for him to get enough of the writers who vote on this thing for NBA media to change their mind. I think they're probably, I'm going to vote for LeBron, but he's not playing enough. I'm going to vote for Embiid, not playing enough. Jokic is their next guy, and Dame is after them, after that for a lot of writers. I just think that, yes, he could go on a tear, but will that tear make an impact in the minds of the NBA media before they vote? Because they vote at the very end of the season. I want to say right after the last game is done, before the playoffs start. And so it's a question of, does that have enough impact on them? And I would say, hey, yeah, Jokic is the engine for his team too. Are they normally good? Yes, but he has become a bigger part of what makes the Nuggets go.
Oh, yeah. Jokic increased his play in the bubble, and it never went back down. A lot of people bought in the bubble, and their play went back down.
Part of the narrative is he was in shape for the first time and stayed in shape.
That'll help.
I mean, that was the narrative coming out of the bubble. I don't know if I believe it, but I'm interested to see. The sad part for me, and I think for us, is we won't know this answer until June.
Yes, that is true. That is true. I let me ask you this, right? So the Nuggets are in the 5th seed. The Blazers are in the 6th seed. If that flips, do you think that changes a lot of people's mind? Because the Lakers are in the 4th seed, and we all expect them to come down significantly, which, let's just say everything else stays the same, that pops them back to 4 or 5. And if Dame gets the 4th seed or the 3rd seed, because we expect the Lakers to come down, would that change a lot of things?
If Dame could get the 3rd seed, I think that changes a lot. I think that changed. I just don't know how.
They're 4 games less.
Yes,
they're 4
games. We got the
Suns.
We got the Nuggets. There's some good teams out in the West still.
Suns, Nuggets, Clippers, and the Lakers, who we expect to fall, are the 3 people ahead of them.
At best go 4-12 because they looked real bad the other night.
Look, so I'm just saying, at that point, that puts them at the 5th seed. He only has to surpass the Nuggets, and who's the 3rd? Is the 3rd the Clippers or
I think so.
Okay, so I'm just saying it's kind of not unlikely.
If he gets to 3rd, I think that changes a lot of minds. And if at that point, if he gets to 3rd, I think it's a coin toss between Dame and Jokic.
All right. Let's move on to Rookie of the Year a little bit, because this is another situation that's been highly impacted by injury. LaMelo Ball fractures his wrist, is reportedly most likely out for the rest of the season, but there's a chance he can come back. Rookie of the Year race kind of opening up now. Who do you have getting it?
I think it's still LaMelo, honestly, in my opinion. I think first off, I want to say that he proved a lot of his doubters wrong. People
100%.
said, oh, he's had cherry pick situations. He's not played against the top end talent.
Too swaggy, braggadocious.
Whatever.
Not locked in.
Don't play defense, etc. And he has
poor shot selection.
Yes, all of that. And he's proven them wrong this season. He has performed phenomenally. I don't know what exactly did it, but his game has been much. Maybe this was always there, but at least from what I'm seeing, it looks much improved. The wrist fracture is going to be a part of the narrative, the story for him. He's having a great season, pretty on par with the number 1 pick in the draft, Mr. Edwards up in Minnesota, and then hurts his wrist, and maybe you feel bad for him. You think he was so close, he would have won it if he finished playing those games, so you still vote for him anyways. There's all the great stories coming out about Melo and MJ, and everyone loves all those people, all the feels. He's like, yeah, I call MJ Unk. I'm just like, no. It's a great story. Like, you want to hear it. You're like, because for a lot of players who've been in Charlotte or been on whatever team MJ's had an ownership share in, have not felt that kind of love from him. He's been real hands off owner, like an owner is normally.
I mean, no, he be on the sidelines. He slapped that nigga on the back of his head that one time. Who was that?
But I wouldn't say it's very consistent. There's not like a true relationship there. And I feel like, at least from all the stories I hear, there's some sort of budding relationship between Melo.
He feels like Melo is it.
Yes. He is finally the guy for his franchise. He's going to make Michael Jordan look like a good GM too. Look, he may be the GOAT in a lot of people's eyes.
Like great GMing in.
Well, he's had a decade of bad GMing, so he needs some good ones.
I said this year, like the Gordon Hayward signing looks great. Like moving off of Kemba for homeboy from the Celtics, Terry Rozier's looking a lot better than people thought the first time around. Like obviously the LaMelo pick, Bridges is looking much better. Like it's looking like it's coming together after a lot of rough years. Rookie of the Years have won this award playing less games than LaMelo has before. Mm-hmm. That is the first and foremost.
Some who even aren't rookies who won it.
Okay.
I had to say it.
Look, get your shit off, DeMarcus. Get your shit off. That's why we're here. But I think the Ant-Man's going to end up getting it kind of by default just because, like, he is going on a tear. They lost Cat and D'Lo for a while. He ended up averaging like 24 a game. He's putting up the raw numbers.
Well, his numbers are a pretty even as far as points with Melo right now. I think they're both around 16 points a game for the season.
Sure. But he's going to play more game. Like, he has a whole another month.
He can increase that, yes.
Yeah, to, like, not just increase that, just, like, stay in people's mind. That's the thing. Stay in people's mind. I would love it if Melo still won, though. So I'm not going to push back on a lot of that. Like, personally, I would like for Melo to win Rookie of the Year. I think he's already earned